Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to your weekly dose of newsy infotainment. It's Let's Be Treasonable, coming to you from the luxurious studios of Radio Titans in Los Angeles with your cognitive dissidents in the house. Joining me, as always, comedian, scholar, the black voice of reason, Mr. Tymon, Shipp in the studio.
Power to the people. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump on your intro there, Dave. You're a little anxious, I guess. But great to be here. Great day. Get to a little, hopefully I will not be arrested for going to Starbucks.
Well, it is, as you said, a beautiful day in Los Angeles. For one reason, because we are not in Georgia, where the Nazis are marching today. Yeah, there is a counter demonstration, so we will find out the body count or number of injuries, what happens later today. But as we start recording today, that is what's happening. Not only am I here and Tymon is here, but we are also joined by our invisible extra panelist joining us via the magic of pre-recorded sound and telephony. It is five-time Emmy nominee Will Durst with this week's Burst of Durst.
Hey guys, Will Durst here with a few choice words about Donald Trump and followers. Trump. If Ronald Reagan was Teflon, the 45th president is a space-age polymer dipped in polyurethane and covered in weasel grease. They don't care. He's their leader. Doesn't matter what argument you try to use. Logic, reason, legality, math, science, history, physics, ethics, decency, gravity. He's their guy. They knew he was a philandering, lying, greedy cheater who stiffed contractors and sued and voted for him. He was a New York City real estate developer, for crumb's sake. They are to choir boys what glass shards are to lace. The best example is while the Russia investigation about collusion is being hammered out in the background, the president has multiple accusations of using money to silence women who claim to have had affairs with him, and nobody cares. Trump. The focus is all on the lawyer who arranged the payoffs. Misdirection managed. Who cares? They all do it. Did he kill anybody? Not did he have anybody killed. Did he personally kill anybody with his bare hands? And even if he did, so what? They all do it. Trump could push an old lady in a wheelchair down 3 flights of stairs, and his supporters would argue till they were blue in the face that he was giving her a series of chiropractic adjustments. If he wants to fire Robert Mueller, or keep firing assistant FBI directors until he finds one that will fire Robert Mueller, they'll still support him. And even though other Republicans say, that would create a constitutional crisis, doesn't matter, because they'll support him too, as long as his zombies do. At this point, stake through the heart would work. Of course, that presupposes the existence of a heart. Trump. For Let's Be Treasonable, I'm Will Durst.
Thank you very much, Will. Some very valid points, and I think a good launching point to get into some of the happenings in the news this week. Let's start with the leak of the Comey memos.
Hey.
Because have you read them? Did you?
No, I heard them talk about them on the radio. They were talking about some of them of the things that he put down and why he did them. Why he was talking. I mean, especially after he asked him to I can you have something he wanted to and all this to back him and he thought they would be good. But that's something he always did. Comey always did keep notes. They said he was a straight up guy, and there some people said he should have kept his mouth shut. He shouldn't have put out a book. It's too early or anything. But when you're dealing with a guy like what he was dealing with, he knew I better write this stuff down.
Sure. Well, I think I have heard the calls of it's too soon. You can't do this. First of all, Comey is one of those guys who believes in law and order and not just the Dick Wolf franchise. So I am sure that the timing of the book release and subsequent tour, everything has not in an official capacity, but I'm sure everything has been run through Robert Mueller's office to say, hey, is this Is this going to fuck with anything? Can we do this now? Is this all good? So
Right.
I don't think that's an issue. One other takeaway from that line of attack, though, that this is maybe a little more. I don't know if you've ever seen on my Facebook feed when I crack jokes about the recently deceased in the world of celebrity or politics. Someone inevitably will say too soon.
Right.
And I always respond that my belief is if it's not too soon, it's too late.
Right.
And in that same respect, people saying, "Oh, it's too soon for the Comey book." No, it's too late. The time for this, and obviously, you didn't anticipate the tragedy that our government has become.
Mm-hmm. That's why they went and got Giuliani.
Someone, I believe it was Paul Lander, said online, "This is the first time I've seen rats running onto a sinking ship." Giuliani's joining the legal team to see if they can settle this issue, which I think is a funny way of saying to try and stay relevant.
Right. Well, they thought that he would. He heard the Comey tapes and everything, and he says he can get in there and get this whole thing taken care of, and he's going to deal with this Mueller guy and everything. He's going to really come in there like he started talking to John Wayne. I cleaned up New York, and I can come in here and clean. He doesn't understand. Trump hated his ass, and now you're going to go back to the guy. Yeah, Luke, I am your father.
This week, Time Magazine's 100 most influential people. The profile of Donald Trump was written by Ted Cruz, who was insulted via his wife.
Right.
When Donald Trump said that he was going to spill the beans on her, and besides, his wife isn't as hot as my wife.
Oh wow.
He insinuated that Cruz's father was involved in the JFK assassination.
Yeah.
And Ted Cruz writes, the biggest kiss-ass piece in Time Magazine talking about how great Donald Trump is. And that is his world. People kiss ass to get what they want. Mm-hmm. It is a matter of convenience.
Right. I don't think that whatever. I mean, like Will was saying, it won't matter. They don't believe.
Well, they don't believe, and they keep moving the goalposts. You were quoting Darth Vader before with
Right.
"I am your father." How about let's go to Empire? I have altered the deal. Pray I do not alter it any further.
Yeah. Yes.
And that's the thing. I am honestly, I'm getting so tired of people pointing out the true fact that, oh shit, if Obama had done 1/10 of the crap that Trump is pulling,
Yeah. Do you think
Trump supporters would have been apoplectic.
Right. Well,
They would have been thankful for Obamacare because they'd all be having goddamn coronaries in their trailers.
Right. Well, I have a friend I work with says that Obama never did anything for him, but Trump is doing. And I said, so has Trump gotten you your job back at probation? No. and, has Trump gotten you a better job? No. And the last time I saw you, you look like warmed over shit. So it's like, I don't understand. This guy, like Will said, could pretty much do whatever he wants. He could shit in your child's cereal, and I go, well, it's only shit, babe. Go ahead.
Well, and I think one of the cases in point of Trump basically taking a giant dump on the civic duties that go with being president, attending Barbara Bush's funeral today. Right. Former presidents George H.W. Bush and George W. Bush, they're, I guess, sort of obligated. They, you expected they would be there. Right. Former President Bill Clinton
is going to be
attending.
There.
Former President Barack Obama attending. I don't believe Jimmy Carter is.
I think Jimmy might be there.
It seems likely.
Right.
But I haven't read anything saying that
he's
he is
90-some years old
he's
himself.
94. He's, I mean, how much does it suck to go to the funeral of friends who are younger than you? But the one current president, soon to be ex-president, hopefully, who will not be attending the funeral, Donald Trump, out of respect,
Right.
allegedly. And how do you not attend someone's funeral out of respect unless it's like Al Sharpton's funeral and David Duke announcing he won't
Right.
be attending? Or was Trump like, all right, I'll go, but you have to let me wear my T-shirt that says I'd rather be golfing.
Right.
You know, it's people out of respect. Yeah, I guarantee you, if Melania were to die before him, if he had a golf game scheduled or a trip to Mar-a-Lago planned, he would skip her funeral too.
Yeah. The guy has,
Presuming they were still married at the time. I mean,
and he'd spin it any way he could, and the people would still back him. It does not matter. These guys think that, I mean, hey, whoever spin this narrative, these guys buy into him hook, line, and sinker. I need a white dude in there. I don't care if he's has a unicorn or as long as he's a white guy that I can fucking relate to.
Well, and before the show, we were having a conversation about, let's say, some of the more fringe religions and their induction techniques and recruitment. And you mentioned one guy who was trying to get you to come to his church,
Right.
and was berating you, and no, you can't get rest. You need to come get God's word while you're tired and mentally pliable, presumably. You need to do this now. I used to be a rapist.
Right.
And, when you were telling me this story, my first thought was, well, good to know his sales pitch hasn't really changed. But here in LA, where we've talked about Scientology on this show before, so I'm not worried about calling them out by name. But there are a lot of weird little culty, fringy religions and people who want to separate you from your wallet in the name of God, and how some of the more quote unquote legitimate religions that do this.
Right.
But you look at these Trump supporters, and it is very much cult behavior and what we've seen. And I will say one thing in defense of Scientology, because I got a couple neighbors who are Scientologists, nice people, as long as you avoid that topic. But one of them recently was dealing with a lot of medical issues, and they had people visiting him at his house every day, making sure he was doing all right, and helping change his dressings, whatever. So it's, like any religious type organization, I will give them props for having a community,
Right.
Which is what I think leads a lot of people to these groups, is that sense of community, that sense of like-mindedness. I was listening to NPR before, coming down here to the studio today, and they were doing a piece on how racism has really bloomed in the age of Trump, because you have all these angry white people, ignorant folk, who always felt like they had to, they knew they were right, but they just couldn't say it out loud because of political correctness and what have you. But now that, Trump's in office screaming about Mexicans bringing drugs and they're rapists. And
Now, what they need to understand, and what people don't, and this is where they get in trouble, is because you say, well, the Mexicans are bringing the drugs, and that's because the white boy wants the drugs, okay? And they're going to help them get it here.
Yeah, under any other circumstances,
Right. I mean,
this proverbial